I mean, this is probably one of the best fighters I've played ever. It sets the bar really high now. There's a new standard out there, and it's gotta be probably my pick for Game of the Year. That's same. So, where do we begin with BlazBlue? It's from Arc System Works. It's the same guys that were responsible for the Guilty Gear series. Now, for those that aren't initiated, Guilty Gear was their top franchise, but since that's now been bought by Sega, basically Arc had to start over from scratch, and the result is this, BlazBlue Calamity Trigger. And it is by far one of the best 2D fighters I've played in many years. And I know that's saying a lot because there's Street Fighter out there, and that's been around for longer, but to me this is the start of a brand new and great franchise, and I can see a bright future for it in its time. Basically, BlazBlue is a 2D fighter, but it doesn't play like the other 2D fighters out there. The biggest difference with it is its controls. It uses a standard 4-button control scheme, same to the King of Fighters out there, except it's basically split up into different components. So, for example, I'm using the PS3 version, so this is light A, B, C, D. Basically, your A, B, C are your light, medium, and heavy attacks, and then your D attack is your drive button, or what I like, or what most call, do something cool. Each character has their own unique drive button. So, for example, one of the characters, when he uses his drive attack, can actually drain some of the opponent's energy, and it refills his own. Another example of this is a character can use ice and freeze his enemies in place, which can give you a chance to do a more massive combo. The game also has other systems that work. One of them is a barrier system, which you activate, at least on the PS3 one, by pressing R2, and a barrier shows up. Anything's in it, it's impenetrable, like the shield, except more useful. But there is something called barrier bursts, where if you pull off a right move or something, it can break that barrier and cause more damage. Now, you can't use the barrier forever. There's a meter right under your health meter that shows how much you can use it, so you'll have to keep an eye on that. Another thing is called rapid cancel. Basically, what rapid cancel is, you're pulling off a combo, or you're doing a combo, and you can cancel it midway by pressing, I believe it's B and C. I have to recheck that. But the catch to this is, it uses up 50% of your heat meter, which I haven't gotten into detail yet, but I will in a second. So you can't rely on this forever. There are a couple meters that work. There's the heat meter, which is at the bottom left, the bottom of the screen. It fills from 0 to 100 as all normal meters do. But you can pull off things called distortion moves and astro moves. Distortions are basically your super specials, or your super special moves, and those only use up about 50% of your heat meter, so you can pull these off at any time. Astro moves are a little bit special. They have a certain criteria you have to fit, such as the meter has to be 100%, it has to be the end of the round, it has to be the last round, and your opponent has to have, I believe it's 20% health or less. But if you can't pull this off, you will be shown something really beautiful. They look amazing. They do look pretty painful. Even the distortion moves do as well. But I will get into detail. But I'm going to leave that for you to experience. Also, control-wise, it is responsive. As I said, it's only a 4-button game, but it works surprisingly well, especially with the standard PS3 controller. I imagine it would work well with the 360 version, but then again, I'm not a huge fan of that D-pad. Although if you use the analog stick, it's not a problem. If you have a 5-stick, then you shouldn't have a problem with this at all. In terms of the modes, I think this is actually really interesting. It's got your standard stuff like your arcade mode, your versus mode, and your score attack mode. There's also the online mode. I'll get to that in a minute. But the big thing here for me is the story mode. Yes, you heard me right. A story mode. There's a story for each of the 10 characters in the game. And how the story works is, it's like a natural progression. You just go from beginning to end, but for some characters you'll have choices to make along the way, and that can affect the path of the story you take. So for example, in one of the character stories, you fight an enemy, then a person comes out and says, "Don't hurt him, save him," you have the choice of either dealing with him or walk away. Depending on what you choose, determines the path of the story, and it also determines on your win, who you beat and who you lose, and who you lose against. Because I'd imagine that also affects the story. But the story itself, it's convoluted. It makes some sense. So it's similar to like other anime, messed up anime stuff. Hey, I like my anime, and that's why I think the story mode is interesting. It will take you a while to do since there are 10 characters, and you will not get 100% on your first time. So you'll have to replay as those characters a couple times in order to get through the story mode. Voice acting is another thing, but I'll get to that. But wait, I'm losing track. Let's go back to network play. The network play in this game is actually surprisingly good. I did notice one weird thing about the networking though, and that is when you go online, this is only in ranked matches, you get to see a win-loss sheet. Like you see a character sheet of the person you're fighting against, and it shows a win ratio. It can be a little bit off-putting when you're playing against these people. So try not to get intimidated by that. Also, the other interesting thing about the online play is that you can save your replays and view them, and other people can view them online as well on the leaderboard and stuff. And you can download their replays and watch them yourself to see what they do and how they get these insanely good scores. Also, there's a ranking system, like a leveling system, so you earn experience as you're playing through these modes, and it also depends on what you pull off during the fight, such as you didn't do this barrier break, you got the first attack, you did your distortion finish or an astral finish. This doesn't have an effect on like what other points you on, unlockables or all that, but, which by the way, there are a ton of unlockables here, so that'll keep you busy for a while. It's just like a ranking system. In terms of characters, as I said, this is a disappointing thing for me though. There's only 10. There were 10 in the arcade. We get 2 more here in the form of the 2 bosses that were in the arcade version. So you're only getting 12 characters. I know it doesn't sound like much, but what you do get are some really interesting personas here, such as Ragnar the Blood Edge, who's referred to as a good neighbor. There's Jin Kisaragi, who you might think is a good guy, but let me tell you right now, spoilers, he's not. He seems like a really evil soul. Noelle is this hot gun-toting girl. And then there's Taokaka, which is a cat lady, a cat girl. She has a cat face, which is hidden beneath that hood. There's also the Chi Fei Lin, which Taokaka refers to as a big booby lady. I gotta censor that, sorry. But the interesting thing about all characters is that they all don't control the same. They each have their own unique style, so you have to learn each character in order to understand how they work. And already I'm seeing online people have mastered some of these characters and are doing insanely well with them. So it's good to get used to some of them. There are some easy ones, so I would suggest you try out with them first. Now, in terms of how it looks, this is basically the best. Whoever says the sprite's dead is wrong. The sprites here look freaking fantastic. They all animate well, the special effects look great, the backgrounds are all 3D, so they look gorgeous. And the game doesn't run with that glitch. You wouldn't expect it to. Everything is just completely stylized in this cool Japanese anime sense. It looks great. You'll be able to identify each character when you see them, like you go, hey, I know that guy, that's Ragnar. Or, Big Guns, hey, that's Noelle. Or the weird guy with the mask, Akume. So yeah, the visuals in this game are really amazing. You really have to see it in motion. I'm sorry I couldn't put it in here because my equipment's not working for recording. So, I mean, if you haven't got it by now, this is a great fighter. It's probably the best 2D fighter I've ever played. This is a real threat to Street Fighter and any other fighter out there. This could take the crown as the best fighting game ever designed. Keep an eye out on it. Keep an eye out for it. It will ship July 28th, but if you pre-ordered it, you got the limited edition. I'll show some of that content in another video I make, but get this game. When it's out, get it. I know it may not have that much appeal for some, but believe me, you will have fun with this. If you need more information, go check out the website BlazBlue. Also check out other reviews on Metacritic as well. So with that said, thanks for watching. I will see you all later.